The largest unsolved bank robbery in history is not the kind you have heard of. It does not involve masks. It does not involve guns drawn at a teller's window. It was carried out by official order in broad daylight by men in uniform, and the receipts they left behind have been read, audited, and re-audited for 81 years. The numbers still do not match. Berlin, the 3rd of February, 1945. At 11 in the morning, 937 American bombers cross the city in 3 waves. They drop more than 2,000 tons of high explosive. The Reichsbank, the central bank of Nazi Germany, takes 21 direct hits. The vault, 3 floors underground, survives, but the building above it does not. The presses for printing currency are destroyed. The clerks who count the gold are working by candlelight. Walther Funk, the bank's president, gives the order that begins this case. Empty the vault, move it south, hide it. What follows is a paper trail, a real one, written down at the time in triplicate by accountants who believed, even in February of 1945, that the books would one day be balanced. They were wrong about almost everything else. They were not wrong about the books. To understand a missing fortune, you start with the inventory. Not the rumor, not the headline, the inventory. At the moment Funk gives his order, the Reichsbank's vault holds gold, paper currency, and foreign exchange with a stated book value of $238 million in 1945 dollars. In today's money, the gold alone is worth more than $4 billion. A portion of gold has a separate ledger. Melmer. Between 1942 and 1945, the SS made 76 documented deliveries into this account. Wedding rings, dental gold, coins, jewelry, melted down at the bank and recast as standard bars. Every bar in the Reichsbank's reserve carries a stamp and a serial number. Every bar is, in principle, traceable. The clerks who keep these records do not destroy them. This is the first fact of the case. The Reichsbank kept its receipts. Hours after the bombing, 24 freight cars leave Berlin. Their destination, a potash mine in Merkers, 200 miles south. By late March, the Reichsbank's gold, 100 tons of bullion, is hidden 2,100 feet underground, alongside paper currency and 400 tons of looted art, including the bust of Nefertiti. The Germans believe it's undiscoverable. On the 4th of April, 1945, 2 American military police, asking for directions, stop a pregnant French woman walking near the village. She has been evacuated from Berlin. She tells them in passing what is in the mine. 3 days later, soldiers of the 3rd U.S. Army are standing in front of the vault door, 2,000 feet under Germany. The Americans secured 93% of Germany's gold in one afternoon, but 7% was missing. Between the 3rd of February and the 4th of April, the clerks of the Reichsbank have been moving more than gold. They have been moving a second inventory, smaller, more select, harder to account for. Foreign currency, coins, sealed bags marked only by serial number. When the Americans take Merkers, the second inventory is already gone. On Hitler's orders, the remaining gold fled south toward the Alps, accompanied by cashier Emil Toms. After the war, his captured ledger was entered into evidence. This is what it lists. Item 1. 364 sacks, each containing 2 gold bars, 728 bars in total, approximately 11 tons. Item 2. 2 bags of gold coins, 6 boxes of Danish gold krone. Item 3. 89 sacks of foreign currency, United States dollars, more than 2 million of them. Swiss francs, millions more. Pounds sterling, French francs, Egyptian pounds, Turkish lira, Norwegian krone. Every currency a fugitive might use. Item 4. 9 envelopes of gold documents. What this phrase means is not specified in the ledger. It has never been satisfactorily explained. With Nazi command dissolving, Colonel Pfeiffer took the convoy to Lake Walchensee, a deep alpine water surrounded by limestone mountains and pine. This is where it vanished. On April 26th, pack mules carried the inventory up the steep Steinriegel Ridge. In the dark, Pfeiffer's men buried 11 tons of gold in the Bavarian Alps. They left the holes unmarked. 2 weeks later, Germany surrendered. A cold case is built from what is recovered and from what is not. So, let us audit the ledger. On the 6th of June, 1945, Colonel Pfeiffer surrenders to American occupation forces. He leads them up the trail above the lake. They dig. What is recovered is documented on a single United States Army receipt. It is signed. It is filed. It survives, recovered. 364 sacks of gold, 2 bags of coins, 6 boxes of Danish krone, the 9 envelopes of gold documents, most of the foreign currency. By weight, the Army recovers most of what the ledger lists, but not all of it. What is missing is a fortune. Line 1, 100 bars of gold, worth 70 million today. Line 2, 2 million in U.S. currency. Line 3, all the Swiss francs. This loss is not an estimate. It is black and white, signed by living witnesses. 3 theories survive the audit. Theory A, the men who buried it. The detail above Walchensee was small, fewer than 20 ordinary soldiers. In the post-war chaos, several vanished. 2 were later found living under assumed names in Argentina and Italy, connected to massive, unexplained cash deposits. Neither was ever charged or put under oath. The theory is plausible. The proof is missing. Theory B, the middlemen. Between 1939 and 1945, the Reichsbank transferred approximately 400 million pounds in gold to the Swiss National Bank in exchange for hard currency. The arrangement was legal under Swiss neutrality. It was also a laundry. The Eisenstadt reports, commissioned by the United States government in the 1990s, established that Reichsbank gold continued to move through Swiss accounts well after the formal end of the war. If the Walchensee dollars and Swiss francs reached the right counters in Zurich or Bern before the borders closed, they did not need to vanish. They needed only to be deposited. The theory is supported by documentation. The documentation, as released, redacts the names. Theory C, the third column of the ledger. The Walchensee inventory is not the only one. In the same final weeks of the war, similar shipments leave Berlin for Lake Toplitz in Austria, for Stolpsee outside Berlin, for sites in the Sudetenland. Witnesses describe crates dropped from boats. Divers, decades later, recover counterfeit British currency from one of the lakes. They do not recover bars. If the missing 100 bars never reached Walchensee at all, if they were diverted in Munich or in Mittenwald into one of the other shipments, they could be anywhere in 1,000 square miles of glacial water. The theory cannot be disproved. It also cannot be proved. The pattern is familiar. 3 theories, the same evidence, different graves. Colonel Pfeiffer was interrogated. He told the Americans what he knew. He was not charged. He lived until 1968. Walther Funk, the man who gave the order to empty the vault, was tried at Nuremberg. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. He served 11 years. He never accounted for the missing column. Emil Toms, the cashier who kept the ledger, survived the war. His copy of the inventory, the document on which this case is built, was confiscated, photographed, and entered into the United States National Archives. It remains there. It can be read. The numbers in it have not changed. 81 years on, treasure hunters still climb the ridge above Walchensee. They carry metal detectors. They dig where they think the holes were. They find nothing. The case does not depend on them. The case depends on the ledger. 100 bars, $2 million, an unknown number of Swiss francs. Where the gold went is unknown. Where it came from, in part, is not. Some of it was taken from people who were never given a receipt. This is not a treasure hunt. It is an open account. The largest unsolved bank robbery in history was carried out, in plain sight, by men who kept the books. The books are still here, the men are not. The account remains open. Somewhere, On a balance sheet that was never closed, there are 100 bars of gold and a column of foreign currency, waiting to be entered on the correct side of the page.